Well, good morning. I'm up and at it and I'm just sweeping the floor. Sun's a bit bright, but there you go. Yeah, so when you sweep the floor, what do you usually do with what you've got left? Do you throw it in a compost bin? Do you just chuck it ready to go somewhere else? What do you do with it? Here, what I'm doing is I'm collecting it and I'm throwing it all back into the borders. There's no need for any of it to really, apart from clearing the walkways and that, there's no need to be moving too many leaves and things like that, because that's where the insects all live over winter. So what we're doing is we're just throwing it all into the beds around the sides of the garden. Keep everything nice and tidy, but yet again we're putting back in what was dropped by all the other plants and things and blown about, and feathers and things, and it'll all go into feeding the ground to produce a nice fertile yummy bed for things to grow in next season. It's time to clean out the animals, and we still haven't had the hay delivered, or paella as they call it in Portugal. And this morning's delivery is now rocking up at 7 o'clock tonight, which is frustrating, but it's Portugal, so when they say a time, it's very, very rarely the time that they say. So they're all bedding, the birds all bedding has come on, and I've thrown all the dead leaves and chicken poop into the border, so I'll fertilise that before we chip over the top. Because the hay's not turned up yet, and the compost waiting to go in the compost piles getting bigger and bigger, what I've done is I've thrown everything in the middle just to start off, and then what will happen is when the hay turns up, I'm gonna build the walls and I'm gonna pull it into the middle, whatever's in there, and then I'm going to build up everything around the outside so I can keep everything in the middle. I've been putting a pile of stuff together waiting for the compost to start, and it's all just sat here waiting, which is frustrating, but it meant that I could carry on doing things. So this is all waiting to go in, and it's got some bigger bits that will not be suitable for composting, which I'm gonna take out, take the thorns off it, and then stick it through the chipper. Okay, so I've got the cat trap today, so that's ready for catching some cats when it comes time. So this tree was hanging over, it was right down to near the floor. I needed to decide what to do, because it really needed sorting so that people could walk around, and it made a mess all over the place. So what I did was collected the fruit and put it, well, most of the fruit in the bottom, and then all the little bits I've chopped off, the sticks that were twigs that were going in the wrong way, because you don't want a twig direct onto the pathway. Any of the little twigs that were doing nothing, you don't want it to put its energy into all these little bits and pieces, because you want it to be able to fruit and put its energy into growing and fruiting and producing the right delicious nummy fruit. So I took off the base there, and because that this one came right out here, so that came off, and then all these little twigs got thrown in, ready to mulch over the top of them, so that the tree's feeding the tree with what it's had to shed. So now it's less of an issue for the roof, and it's going to grow the correct way, or the most appropriate way for next year. And it looks much more like a tree instead of like a bush, which is brilliant. These are oranges, and the oranges have not been pruned, so the branches was filling out over the path so you couldn't walk down. So I just took out one branch, one of the low branches. There's plenty more to come out, but that one low branch, I've popped it on the floor ready to chop and drop. And for now, this allows a nice walkway. So all in all, I've had a really busy day, believe it or not. I've got lots and lots of ground covered or uncovered and tidied up. So loads of organising, the trip out for the cat carrier. Started doing some more chop and drop on the leaves and the branches here in the courtyard, and now I'm just gonna settle down before I go and make myself some soup. So I will hopefully catch you tomorrow.